Today we will be replacing the injectors on my 2000 Jeep Cherokee. For this process you will need some paper towel, petroleum jelly, tape, a tiny flathead screwdriver, a quick disconnect tool, and a 10 and 13 millimeter socket. Alright, so step one is to bleed this little Schrader valve right here. So you're going to take this cap off like that, and always have a paper towel or something right below, and we have pressure. Just keep bleeding that. Try not to let it leak off the paper towel there. Second step you're going to want to do is remove the gas cap for proper ventilation. Step number 3, you're going to want some extra clearance. So remove this little PCV valve very carefully. After that, you can remove the throttle body cable with these 2 bolts here. And use a 10 millimeter extended socket with an extension. Probably should have done this first, but you're going to want to remove all of these throttle cables. I only have 2, though some of you may have 3. Next step is to pop this little guy off right here. I'd recommend a larger screwdriver for that. It'll come off. This is why you don't work on rough Michigan cars, folks. It's bad. This next step requires one of these quick disconnect tools. You just got to figure out which one fits the best, and that one will be used to disconnect the fuel line. So we figured out that this blue one works the best. Let's pop it in there. Sorry, my fingers are in the way. Get it on there, and in theory, it should come off. Just like that. Okay, now you're going to want to mark your injectors. All I have is this little red duct tape around. So I'm just going to mark each wire with its corresponding spot. I'm going to go opposites, just so that we know which one is which out of each 2. Got all of them taped up. I did them just in alternating, just so, because some come in pairs, and I only had red tape. Next step is to remove each injector wire. You can just click this thing, and in theory, it should pop off. Took a minute because we had some of the top of these little clips right here break off. So what I did was just go underneath with this tiny little pocket screwdriver and just lift it up, and they eventually popped off. Next thing you're going to want to do is remove these 4 10 millimeter bolts that are holding on the fuel rail. Now with those 4 bolts removed, you can now wriggle this whole fuel rail out of here. Alright guys, I just got this fuel rail out, and these things are brutally nasty. These things are probably the original ones. I would definitely not be surprised. So this is one of the newer injectors. I don't know if you can see it, but instead of just one singular hole, it has 12. Hopefully for better fuel atomization. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is get a flat head right here, and just remove these little retaining clips, just like that, for all 6 of them. Fortunately, I'm only doing it with one hand, so I'm gonna put the camera down. Alright, so each injector has 2 O-rings on it, one on the top and one on the bottom. You have to coat them with petroleum jelly or something like that, because if you don't, these things will crack and it can cause fuel leaks, which can cause detonation, which is something you do not want. These things are all buttoned up, all in there with the petroleum jelly on each O-ring. Now I can put the retaining clips back in. Now that the injectors are back in, you can just put in these retaining clips. Go in like so, just like that. Now with the new injectors in place, you're going to have to use petroleum jelly on these bottom O-rings to make sure that they don't leak out either. With both O-rings fully gummed up, we have put the fuel rail back in. Now all we have to do is put back in these 4 10mm bolts and tighten them up. Okay, now that we have all 4 of those bolts tightened up, let's start putting the injector clips back in. Alright, we got the plugs all in. It was a bit of a struggle because some clips broke, but we got them all in. And now we can put this fuel line back on. And it just clipped in just like that. And this little retaining clip, just put back on there. And it should be good to go. With that all set, we can go ahead and move the throttle body bracket over. Throttle cable bracket, sorry. And just put those bolts in. Alright, we just snapped on both of our cables. Now we can just move this tool, put it back in just like that. And for our final step, grab our little Schrader valve cap and put it back in, and that should be it as far as this project goes. Now all that you have to do is prime it 2-3 times before starting. Start it up, check for leaks. I'd probably have a fire extinguisher by you. And if it doesn't leak, I'd say go for a test drive. I've been sitting here letting it idle for a few minutes. Everything seems to be okay. Doesn't seem to be any leaks. So we're going to take it on a test drive. It's been a little bit since I replaced them. This thing already drives quite a bit better than what it used to. It's absolutely insane the difference that these make. It has a lot better acceleration, and it's getting a little bit better gas mileage as well, so that